Hey, what's up, guys? Real quick before we get into this episode, know that there is some explicit language. I don't recommend listening to this one with your kids. What did one plate say to the other? Dinner's on me. What's up, dude?
What is happening?
We haven't done a podcast together in several weeks now.
I know. I thought you didn't like me anymore.
You're banned from the podcast. You said
yeah,
something
did I
bad?
say something bad?
Yeah.
We do a lot of editing. No, we don't. No, we
a
are
lot of stuff
straight.
to have.
We are straight busy,
Um,
especially with my tribe.
Yeah, your tribe has grown. I want to hear some updates from the baby. You just had a birthday. You're older.
Yep.
You have more kids.
I like more
don't know that you're
kids,
any
more
wiser.
back problems. You know.
Speaking of back problems, man, let's catch everyone up. You know, they've been on my health. They've been following on my health journey since July of last year, and I haven't done any updates in a while because I quit going to the gym.
Because COVID.
Because COVID.
Because the gyms were closed.
Yeah. So this is a quick recap. We haven't talked about this in a while. Maybe it's a good thing to recap on. So last year, I started going to the gym in July, and over the first 3 months, or probably I was doing good. I dropped like 15, 20 pounds immediately. I was like, this is awesome. And then John was like, yeah, well, wait till you start going backwards because you eat like a fucking 5-year-old, you know? And I'm like, yeah, okay, whatever. I was like, whatever, bro. I just lost 15 pounds. He's like, yeah, well, see what happens when you start going the other way. Sure enough, I start going backward. Well, I kind of plateaued. I wouldn't say I started going backwards because even November, I was at like an all-time low. December, I started going backwards a little bit. January, I was kind of like, I probably gained another couple of pounds, and then like COVID hit, and then gyms were closed and all that kind of stuff for several months, and I like it was like the COVID-19,
Yeah,
just add 19
just,
to it, you know. And I was like,
I mean, we got to preface though. You were definitely not a salad eater.
No, I don't eat rabbit food. I don't eat green M&Ms, let alone some salad. You know what I'm saying? So, anyways, John was right, and it turns out that like nutrition is like 90% of it. So I've got to get back to that. But
Your cheeseburger tacos.
those are really good. It's my cheat meal.
Except every Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday.
Jade said I can eat good at least 70% of the time and be okay. I'll take that. Anyways.
Well, the question then is like for your 30%, is it like eating actually more food than the other 70%? Then I don't know.
Well, that's the funny thing, right? Like, is it more food or is it less food? That I think is less relevant than the quality of food. Isn't as much as the quantity, because you need to fuel your system, but you just can't put like shitty gas in your gas tank. You know what I mean? So, which is, well, I'm not wearing it today, but like, you know, I was wearing the Garmin watch, trying to track calories and eat the right amount of food. And, you know, I sucked at that portion of it. That's where I really need help. And
I've been trying to get you to eat a salad on one of these podcasts for like, I think the 100th episode we do, Beav needs to eat a salad.
Full like,
you can put ranch on it.
Fried chicken salad.
It can be like a Southwestern salad that actually is like worse than a Big Mac. But you know, at least
like he ate the salad.
He ate a salad.
Oh my gosh!
That is
dessert salads. That'd be amazing.
That's what we're gonna do for the 100th. What podcast number are we on now?
I don't even know. 50, 40, late 40. I don't know.
So maybe this year we'll get Beav to eat a salad.
Oh yeah, we'll do it. We'll come in hot. So, anyways, but you know, gyms start opening back up. I go to the gym. I'm working out, and I kind of like tweak my shoulder a little bit, and I'm like, ooh, that kind of hurts. So John's like, oh, stop. All right. He's like, well, let's lay off of that. You know, I'm not trying to get you injured. Like, let's do some other stuff. Blah blah. Some couple weeks go by. Seems okay. We go on vacation. Go to Tennessee. I'm playing around in the lake. I'm holding Kendall up. I'm holding the side of this thing. Her and I are in the water, and I felt it then. I was like, man, this is starting to really hurt my shoulder. And so then we get back, and I tell John, I'm like, man, my shoulder, like I was doing this thing, blah, blah. So I go see the chiropractor at Pulsology, and those guys are incredible. They've taken really good care of me, and they have a massage therapist over there. They've been doing all this cupping and all this kind of stuff, and it's been like a big help. And like I can use my shoulder again. Well, actually before that, I did all that, and it was like feeling good, and I kind of forgot about it. And then we were on vacation again. We were at Jekyll Island, and I'm start throwing the kids in the pool, and like tweaked it again because
Yeah.
it was feeling great and I just kind of forgot about it. I throw Kendall, and immediately at that point I was like, oh, shouldn't have done that, and like that hurt, and it's been kind of a problem since then, but certainly getting much better. So anyways, I'm fatter.
So
I'm fatter.
So the takeaway is don't go to the gym, you'll get hurt.
Yeah, exactly. And eat some salads so you don't get fat. No, but I think it all just comes with getting older.
Oh, it definitely makes it a little bit harder.
Yeah.
Well, that and
It's like
you were
weird
saying,
stuff that you're so used to doing on a regular basis that like throwing your kids in the pool, all of a sudden like tweak your shoulder, you sneeze wrong, you throw out your back, you know.
Let me stretch before I
yeah.
before I start getting on my knees here to play with the kids.
Yeah, and it's like a rotator cuff issue, and I've heard of several people talk about having some issues with that recently, and it kind of scares me. But I'm just trying to take it super easy. And like everyone from the gym, those guys are all like trying to get together and go shooting last weekend, and I was like, hell yeah. And then I was like, sorry guys, I can't go. Yeah. I knew because I was like, I could go out there and try to baby it, but I just knew if I going out shooting for first time in a while with a bunch of buddies, I'm just gonna jack it up. I'm just gonna like go picking up some big heavy rifle and do something stupid and like hate myself again.
Yeah.
I can't set myself any further back. I've hardly been working at all, I feel like, and it's super frustrating. I need to be back in the office.
Mm-hmm.
And I haven't been going to the gym because I've been spending so much time. I spend like, if I was still going to the gym, I'd be like doing 3-4 hours a day of like self-care. Like I got work to do. So I'm like, screw the gym. Let's go to the chiropractor and massage and get all this stuff working right. And then I'll kind of stop doing
that's a huge challenge just with parenting, right? In life. How do you balance it all?
Yeah, that's life. Like when you're trying to run a business and take care of family and take care of yourself, like you could spend a lot of time taking care of yourself. You should. Even just like yesterday, I had to like make a very conscious effort to take time out of my life to like go get my teeth cleaned, which is like, there's an hour and a half of
It is kind of weird. It is kind of funny. I've noticed that recently. I'm like looking at my calendar. I'm like, they're like, you need to schedule a haircut. I'm like, can I go a little bit longer? Because I really don't want to stop for 30 minutes. God forbid I stop for 30 minutes to get a haircut. Like I got too much. Like
I know. I've been trying to get a haircut for a week. I was like, just can't get there.
Just got to stop and do it. But it is tough.
Yeah, taking care of yourself is a lot of work. And it's easy to let it go, and then you're trying to play catch up, and then you're just screwed. And the older I get, the more I realize I need to be taking better care of myself. I've always done a poor job of taking care of myself. I've just been very fortunate to have always been really active, so I don't look like a complete fat ass. But man, it can take a lot of effort and energy to take care of yourself properly. Yeah, and it sucks. I just want my mommy to do it for me. Anyways, I say all that because, getting old sucks. How's it been getting older there, Alejandro?
Yeah,
Get some gray hairs coming in.
Yeah, I buzzed my lack of a beard this morning, actually. And there's like a big patch of gray. I was like,
I know, awesome. I've got a few of them. What's funny? Awesome. Speaking of that, I had this weird thing. I don't know what it's called. I used to have like bald spots, and they would like move. It would be like one section just wouldn't grow, and it was over here, but now it's like kind of gone away. Travis's old boss man, Greg, used to have the same problem, but he had to get like cortisone shots to like get it to grow hair. It was like super weird. I don't know. It's like a thing, but it like went away, and I thought might have been stress induced. I was in a lot of stress back those days.
Yeah.
So
stress does a lot of weird stuff.
It
messes up my back and everything else. But I don't know, like even like in high school and stuff, when I like, you first start getting your first like mustaches and whatnot, like I always used a buzzer, like just like
electric.
Not even like electric shaver, like just like the buzzer side of it, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And everyone would always be like, no, you got to use a razor to like make it come in like more coarse and thick and everything else. And like, I just have never done that. But so like, if I wanted to grow a beard, it'd be like, all right, see you in a decade, and we'll have one.
Mm-hmm.
But
yeah,
all good.
My hair grows fast. I mean, I have lack of hair on the back of my head, but otherwise, like where I do have hair, it grows fast, which is annoying. It goes back to like self-care.
What's crazy though is like looking at my kids now. I'm like, is that leg hair? Like what
I know my girls too. Like Cameron just turned 9. I'm like, dang, this girl's gonna start shaving those legs soon. And I'm like, that's weird, you know? She just got braces too.
Oh, that's right. Yes.
That's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
So much has been going on in my life. My 9-year-old has braces. At what point did they start doing braces that early? She has a bad crossbite, apparently. She got Brandy's genes with the mouth. Like, Brandy had a lot of like dental, I don't know if you call it dental. Anyways, she had like too many teeth in her mouth. It was like overcrowded and all this stuff. And, you know, so she's been in braces now as an adult for 2 years. And it's been awesome. They had to like remove teeth to make room to put teeth. Like, she just had too many teeth in her mouth. And so that was interesting. So now Brandy and Cameron are both in braces together.
Yeah, do they? I mean, obviously they do. But I mean,
like,
I guess you want to correct. There's certain things you want to correct earlier so it doesn't
become a problem because she still has teeth that need to come in. She's got like teeth she'll still lose, but those will.
But you kind of want to correct like the jaw stuff now.
Yeah. It's crazy. It's interesting.
Yeah.
So
I'm hoping my kids get my teeth.
Yeah, you've got great teeth.
They're a little more tan due to all the coffee I drink. But besides that, I never had to deal with the braces or the overbite. And
good for you.
None of that.
You know, I say I was at the dentist yesterday for the cleaning, and they're like, "Yeah, we need to get your wisdom teeth out of there." I still have my wisdom teeth. Like,
really?
They all grew in like super straight, and so like everyone's always, every time they do X-rays, they're like, "Yeah, like they're not. There's not a problem with them. Like, don't bother. Like, you can hang on to them." But this last time they were like, "Hey, we want to get those things out of there. They're going to cause some other. It's not a disease. Maybe it's not a bone disease. It's like a bone." I'm completely butchering what they said, but basically they're concerned that where they're coming in, where they're at, and pushing against the molars in front of them, it'll ruin those molars that we want to keep. And I don't know the exact.
I mean, that's like the thing you did like as a senior, right? And like
a lot
high
of people.
School, like it was just like
I don't know. Everyone always was like,
you get the ooh, are we gonna be able to film you like all those other kids that like film you on the happy gas?
Yeah, we should
see what see what stuff comes out of your mouth.
But you know, a lot of the problems is a lot of people's wisdom teeth like come in crazy weird angles and start shifting things around. But like mine have all like they're all in the back of my mouth. They're all like grew in straight, and they were like, your teeth are way too nice to let those wisdom teeth like cause problems with the molars we want to keep. So like, we need to get them out of there. They're like, it's not going to cause a problem today, but it's going to be like 4 years from now.
You couldn't like, I remember like you had like the bag of peas on your cheeks, and then like you couldn't drink out of a straw because you didn't want
dry
the, like,
sockets and stuff.
Like all that. I'm flashbacks, man.
I had to go through some of that when I had this implant tooth. Remember, I broke that tooth, and then they ended up just pulling it out and putting an implant in. That's a crate like. That's so weird. Even when I tap on it, like I can feel it like in my head.
Echo in your skull.
Well, it's like because there's a titanium stud that's like screwed into my jaw.
Since you still have to go through the body scanners because you're not on the pre-check list.
I finally got the pre-check.
Did they ever like mention? They're like, "What's that? What are you trying to smuggle in?"
No, it's like medical grade titanium. It's like such a small amount. Right. And my leg, you know, I think my leg is set off one of the metal detectors once. With the screws and plates and all that stuff. Did we ever tell them about that?
Are you breaking your knee?
No. TSA.
No, I don't think we should.
You don't think so?
No.
Okay.
We'll have to save that one for another day.
Maybe that's subscribe to our Patreon. You know, get the bonus episode.
maybe that we'll have you tell that story when you're on the happy gas from your wisdom teeth.
There was an incident, and TSA wouldn't let me on the pre-check list for a little while.
Yes,
but
we almost missed our flight. I was like, I'm about to be going to New York City by myself.
Yeah. Who did we meet with in New York? We met with Michael.
What were we doing up there?
Was that a Toys R Us thing? Was
it? I don't remember at this point. That was obviously like 4 or 5 years ago now.
Yeah. Anyways, I don't know where I was going with all that. Anyways, what's next? What's been happening in your world? That's what's happening in my world. Yeah. It's a shit show. And
now you're rebuilding your deck.
And we're rebuilding the deck. So if you guys have been paying attention, following along for a while, you might recall at the end of last year, October, we started rebuilding our deck. Our house is older. The deck was like rotting and like starting to get kind of sketchy. So we're like, hey, we need to tear the deck down, have it rebuilt.
Yeah.
So we go through this. We kind of did some upgrading to it, make it a little bit nicer and all this stuff. Well, then we started having problems with it. And there was, water drainage issues and water leaking in to the house in heavy storms. And so then I started patching things up and trying to like make it better, thinking I knew what I was doing. I'm not a framer. I don't exactly know what I was doing, but I knew I was trying to correct this problem. And it helped, but it wasn't helpful enough because turns out what they did was so bad and so wrong that it ultimately ended up like we had to tear it down and rebuilding it. So we're in the process of finishing the deck. They were hoping to be done this week, and realistically it'll be, unless they work the weekend, it'll be next week. But it's really close. And
we've been this time.
But right. And here's the good news. The guy that we paid to build it the first time has taken full responsibility for it, and he's like, and he subbed it out to a builder and some other guys, and they really screwed it up. Wasn't really, he didn't build it and screw it up, but he let some stuff slip through the cracks and it got done incorrectly. So he took responsibility for it, and he's paying another builder to rebuild it and fix it and all that kind of stuff, which is great. I was super concerned about that, and I have a lot of respect for him doing what he's done and taking care of it. So that's great. But we're in this competition with the man spot the whole time, building the deck the first time, and he's building his deck, and he's still not done building his deck the first time. And I'm gonna have mine built twice and probably get it done before he's done with the first round. So our house is a construction zone.
We're on week 23 of summer since schools ended in March.
Yeah,
23,
school.
24.
Jeez, we gotta talk about that.
Yeah. So it's been quite an adventurous 2020.
Yeah.
And the wife sent me. I sent her a link to some news article today, this morning, and the Giphy I got back was like that one where the dumpster's on fire, like floating down like a flooded river. And it's like 2020. I'm like, pretty much a dumpster fire floating down a flooded river.
That's
I'm like,
it.
all right, here comes 2021.
It's crazy. So how's the summer been for you guys with the kids at home, with the new baby at home? I still haven't. I saw the baby for like 2.5 seconds at the house one day. I was dropping something off. But you guys have been super cautious,
our giant
obviously.
baby, which is hilarious because he's in the like 30th percentile. Like all of my other, so the twins didn't register on the percentile until they were like 2, and then the middle child, it was like 10th percentile, and we were like, yeah, we got it going on.
Really, he was that? I don't remember him being that small.
Relative, so he was like at 2 months or something. I think he was like 7 or 8 pounds, and this Joker's pushing 12. So I was
nice.
Like, yeah. But he's doing well. He was struggling with some sleep there for a while. We think he had his days and nights mixed up, and then he was just fussy. Like his stomach took a while to kind of mature in that regard. So he seemed like he was really just kind of fussy in that sense. But he's, knock on wood, the past few nights he's actually been doing a pretty good stretch from like starts feeding at 8 p.m. and like I think he made it to like 3 a.m. last night.
But you're still surviving off of Jocko.
I'm still surviving off of caffeine.
Thanks, Jocko.
All of the things that like I start my morning. We'll plug all the brands that we actually pay for. So there's not a plug there. But I start my morning with some Black Rifle Murdered Out coffee because I need strong coffee, and then about an hour later, I go to a Jocko, and after lunch here, I'll have probably another caffeine drink to keep the
I passed out. Yeah, I passed out on my couch last week, and Jade was looking for me. She was like, I couldn't find you. Because she peeked into my office. I guess she didn't see me, but I sat down on the couch in the office to reply to some DMs and stuff, and I replied to a bunch, and then I was just kind of I just passed out. I was just head down, feet up.
That's why I gotta keep.
I don't even know how long I was out, but I feel like it was only 20 minutes.
But what's been kind of actually the most annoying is my oldest. They're 4, a little over 4 now, and obviously with the newborn, a lot of things were changing. Like I was actually sleeping in a guest room. The wife had the baby in the master bedroom area because she was getting up obviously a lot to nurse during the night. So I was like, all right, why don't I manage the other 3 So I can so she doesn't have to. So we're not all listening to the different monitors and whatever else. And so they started.
You guys aren't interrupting each other's sleep pattern by
but so the twins were just, and they're at the stage now where they're really learning how to get up in the middle of the night to go to the bathroom. So we're not putting on pull-ups at night. So we're in that transition period, which is great, but it also means they'll wake up, they'll go use the bathroom, which is great, and not obviously pee in the bed or anything. But then it was opening up the door to the guest room and being can you put me back in bed? And it's bro, you made it that far, you couldn't have
just couldn't have made your door.
So then so that happened for the first 3 weeks with the newborn, and then the last 2 weeks they finally were going back into bed, but they were leaving the door open. And then the other twin would wake up and see the door open and run out and be what? Why is the door open? And I'm bro, can you go to the bathroom and then close it? So we're working through it.
I want to put automatic closing things we have in the building.
Yeah, my gosh.
Close
so
all the doors.
It was awesome. She was well, the wife, I'd talk to her in the morning and be did you get some sleep? And she's nah, he was fussy, this, that, and the other. I saw on the monitor that you were up a lot. I'm yeah, we might as well just be in the same room at this point.
Yeah.
But it's finally improving. But the kids are just bored, you know what I mean?
It's hard to
again.
entertain them.
They it was the second week in March that everything shut down. They just want social interaction. You can't really take them anywhere still. I mean, I don't want to take them to the grocery store just from the standpoint of I mean they want to touch and do all the other things,
everything,
and it's
and then they're putting their
because
hands
we
in
have
their
the
mouth
newborn. Thankfully, a lot of the data seems to indicate that it's not the kids that transmit it to the adults, and that unless there's an underlying condition for a child,
it's not really.
It doesn't seem to be as life threatening. Again, you're talking about 99.9% of the time. There's always a story.
Odds on a lot of things.
True.
So,
but you know what I mean. There's always going to be a sad story or tragic story about something with anything.
Sure.
I mean, driving down the street in a car accident. So it's not necessarily I'm willing to play the odds on that standpoint, but it's I'm not gonna take him to the grocery store.
I would
and have
not being you. The craziest things happen to you. That's what I'm saying. That child shouldn't have even been born to begin with, realistically, and that happened. With all the birth controls in place, and it still happens. And you just defy odds in weird ways. So I don't know that I would chance it if I were you either.
Yeah. So it's been a little interesting, obviously, too, with family. We've got obviously a lot of family around, and so it's that awkward. I want you to be around them, kind of hold them, but where do you balance? Our pediatrician initially, I think I said this on the first podcast. Once he was born, he was he was more concerned about a kid giving it to the grandparents coming to visit than the other way around,
right?
Just from the statistics standpoint, but it's just been tough. It's just tiring.
It is. It's exhausting because the kids
they're bored. You try to entertain them as much as you can. We're not a big TV screen time family at all. Up until about literally probably 3 weeks ago, my kids maybe got 30 minutes of screen time a week, and we just never encouraged it. We're not big TV on in the background kind of people, anyways. Heck, I haven't had cable for 6 years now, either. Yeah. So it's not I ever have TV. So it's very easy for them to just pick up. I'll spend my money. I'll buy all the magnet tiles and all the Legos. And they'll play for hours, thankfully. But gets boring.
It gets boring.
A while.
Yeah, that's
in
the
the
hard
same
part.
house.
It's trying to entertain them with new things from time to time is what gets challenging. Because they're we've already done this. Yeah. It's I already did that game. I already did that puzzle. I already whatever. And it's I want something new. Yeah. And I get it.
Yeah,
I get it.
4. What do you expect? So we've introduced a little bit more, obviously, TV time just to kind of get through the afternoon a little bit.
Yeah, you guys are in like full survival mode right now. I can only imagine.
Which we're probably making it a little bit harder on ourselves. But what's been interesting is like it's crazy to watch like them. We've kind of, I'm using this metaphorically, we've beaten it out of them in the sense that like we'll watch for like 30 minutes or maybe even an hour if it's just like one of those days. And then like you go to turn it off and they start like the first time I turn it off, they're like, I want it on. And, like throwing a tantrum right after, which you'd expect. And it's like tough. And like each time I get like, it's like you just don't cave, and like now they'll turn it off and they'll be like, oh, we don't want to watch more or whatever else, and you're like, well, what have we done the past like 90 times here, bud? Move on, and then it ends in a few minutes, and we move on with our life. But it's crazy that, I mean, it's like zombies. You click it on, and all of a sudden it's blank stares, and you're like, ooh. But
yeah,
they're thankfully the older ones are like at an age where they can finally get something out of it. It's not like it's just cartoons in that regard. It's not that, I grew up watching cartoons. There's nothing bad with cartoons, but like, it seems like the shows they're watching, they're actually like getting some information.
It's not so mindless.
Yeah, like they're like, it's like, oh, they're talking about the solar system. Interesting. And then my kids are talking to me about planets or whatever. I'm just waiting for it to transition to when they're like trying to talk about some dinosaurs or something. They're throwing out names of dinosaurs. I'm like, yeah, I have no clue what you're talking about. Like, there's a reason it's like, are you smarter than a fifth grader? It's like, I don't remember any of that. There's a reason I forgot all of it. Like, I don't need to know that. Like, I'm not like a, what are the name of the people that study dinosaurs, dig up bones? Not like an archaeologist, but like, isn't there like a name for like
probably? But I'm not smart enough to know those big words.
But those big words, I don't even remember those big words.
Oh man, now you're gonna make me wonder. I don't know.
Anyways,
Jade,
all I think about is like Jurassic Park, though.
Yeah.
Like,
so that point,
survival mode,
and
but our daycare's
that's
supposed
kind
to
of where
open
I
up.
wanted to go next. To that point was
after Labor Day. Like, they always open up after Labor Day, anyways. So they've told us that the we'll call them teachers, but it only goes, it's all like pre-K or younger. Like, they'll wear a mask and like a face shield. They've got like a special air purifier in every one of the rooms. All the classrooms have like less than, I think it's like typically like 15 kids in there with like a teacher and a helper.
Mm-hmm.
So kids will get like hand sanitized on the way in. I guess they're going to check their temperature. They don't want parents to walk in the building. So if parents are the carriers, less interaction between parents and the teachers, since that seems to be where most of the viruses spread. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah.
We'll see how it goes.
I'm curious to see how that goes. I wish I was in that same boat, because
we're missing the cutoff, not being in kindergarten and having to like, when are you supposed to do virtual learning with a kindergartner?
Yeah, that's impossible, which is what's happening, with us, where it's like, our local school system, the county had all the parents like vote. Do you guys want to do in school, or do you want to virtual? And it was kind of like 50-50. So it sounded like for a while that they were going to do it that way. Like, the kids that want to, or the parents that want to send their kids to school can do so. And they're going to have something in place for that. And then what they were going to do is split the teachers up to like, okay, we're going to have some teachers do virtual learning stuff that way, and then the other teachers will do the in-class stuff. And then just a couple of weeks ago, they announced that they were doing virtual only for the first semester. And a lot of parents were just pissed, and up in arms. It's going to cause virtual learning at home only is going to cause a lot of problems in the world. Or at least where it's happening. I know there's a lot of schools that are back in session, which is great, because you think about how many kids just need to be in that environment. Like, they're getting bored at home. It's hard to be the mom and the teacher, or the dad and the teacher, and all these things. And it's hard to kind of play both roles. They need a teacher figure. They need interaction with other kids. They need a specific environment. Not every home is fortunate
conducive to learning.
Yeah, conducive to that, or fortunate enough to be able to have a separate space and stuff like that. So we're trying to figure that out. Like, when we were doing it before, it was like everything's all over the kitchen table. Okay, now we need to clear it off so we can eat lunch, and then school stuff's back all over the table. Oh, we got to get ready for dinner. It's clear. It's a pain in the ass.
Well, and if you got multiple kids and they've got like a Zoom call at the same time, now you got to buy two computers.
And there's a lot of kids that don't have computers. A lot of kids don't have internet. There's a lot of families where there's kids that are safer at school than they are at home. You know what I mean? Like,
or they only get fed breakfast and lunch, and that's all they get.
At school, yeah. I assume everyone listening is a pretty good parent, or was trying to be a good parent. But there are parents in the world that suck, and there's child abuse happening in homes there because mom and dad are miserable. They're not at work. That's the other side of it too. There's a lot of parents that have full-time jobs that they can't work from home, and now kids are required to be at home for school. Like, what the heck are people supposed to do? It's crazy. Not to mention that most parents aren't trained to be educators. I mean, it's
be the support system.
It's going to
help
go
encourage it, but
it's going to go sideways quickly. And
yeah, I
not
mean,
to mention the amount of teenagers who are going to be at home by themselves because they can be left at home, and now it's up to them to do their schoolwork while mom and dad are at work. You think they're going to do their schoolwork correctly, and then they're going to be out running around town. You're 16 years old, you got a driver's license and a car, and you're just like, yeah, I got my schoolwork done. I'm out of here. I'm going to go hang out with my friends, and they're going to cause trouble, and it's going to get weird.
Yeah, there's certainly no easy fix for sure. Because you got staff that's older that or even younger that might have underlying conditions. You're like, well, yeah, I don't want to.
I understand both sides of it,
but then you got the other side. You're like,
it can be done.
Yeah, like how are we've heard from a lot of like single dads, single moms that are like, what am I supposed to do with I can't let an 8-year-old stay at home, but yet my job requires me to be at
work so
during a certain hour,
right? And I heard something too recently. I remember who was talking about it, but they were like, a lot of employers were much more lenient in the beginning because it was like, okay, everyone's just going to work from home for the next few weeks, and then we'll be back to normal, blah blah blah. Well, that few weeks has turned into a few months, and that few months has turned into now 6 months, and 6 months is going to turn into a year, and employers can't be that lenient with everybody for that long. You know what I mean? So they were like, well, parents that were able to work from home before are having trouble now because they can't do their job from home, and they're going to end up having to quit or get fired because they can't do their job. So what's that going to look like for the rest of the world and the economy and everything else? It's crazy. It's terrifying.
Well, that and there seems, I think we could all agree on that the virus exists and is real. That I'll even go out and say like there's a reason wearing masks like are beneficial. Then you start to hear all the other stuff that starts to blur the facts, and that's where I'm really struggling recently. Where what is factual and what is opinion?
Right.
I've heard firsthand accounts of people getting calls telling them that they, this is from like a government agency calling them, telling them that they've received a positive COVID test for them, and they're like, "That's awesome," except I never got tested.
Interesting.
And that's been in multiple different states. So you're like, okay, that's interesting. I've heard of reports where people get tested before they go back to work, have to get tested again. And this particular person had 2 positive tests, went and got a third one. It finally came back positive again. This was now over like 20 days. He's like, what's happening? Finally came back negative. This person happens to actually work for the hospital in the like statistics side of like the information that gets pushed out from the hospital, and looked up how his tests were being recorded, and was reported as 3 COVID cases.
Oh yeah.
Instead of just one, like the same person
still
supposedly has COVID, which
I've heard
he
that
did,
too.
maybe he didn't. But you start hearing those kinds of things, would start to make you wonder, like, no wonder there's just so much mixed reactions on how people want to react. Or like, they can either go like, well, see, clearly this is a case of just propaganda. And then you can be like, well, clearly there's people dying. Where do we find a happy medium based on like actual science? If we can't trust any of the science. And that's where it's like, I don't have a good answer for any of it, but you just start to like scratch your head and you're like, okay, like, so what is it? How are you supposed to like properly make decisions on if you send your kids back to school or not? What are they going to do when every kid gets the common cold?
Yeah, well,
and then they shut it down because everyone's got the sniffles, and you're like, and then you're shoving this big like test up kids' noses that are like 10 to like test for the common cold, but then you don't want to bring it back to grandma.
Yeah,
but yet the world can't just stand still. It is a beyond a mess, and unfortunately seems to be getting messier and messier because it's become such a politically charged situation, as opposed to like, so what are the facts? Like, is this smallpox? If we all breathe it in, we all dying or not? And if not, what are the precautions we need to take to be able to be functioning in society, but just be smart and safe?
Yeah.
I mean, no one wants to be the one that brings us home to that offs grandma. I mean, it's ridiculous, At the same token, how do I feed my kids?
Yeah.
How do I make sure my kids aren't like, I've been hearing things. There was this person who was like, I was telling my 7-year-old to clean up. And the kid looks at me, he's like, why do I even need to clean that up? Like the world's going to end anyways. And the mom's like, where did you hear that? And she's like, it's all over the news. Everyone's always talking about it. And it's like, I mean, kids are sponges, man. They pick up on your attitude.
Everything.
They pick up on all the news out there. That's again, I would say is not fact anymore. No matter what you want, like everyone does it under. I heard, and maybe someone can correct me if I'm wrong. I have not fact checked this, but apparently, like even like the Weather Channel is now considered an entertainment channel, so no one can like sue them because. I guess last year during hurricanes, they'd be like, look, there's like 20-foot waves behind me. And then like some kid would be like walking through the puddles in the background. Yeah. So like they're an entertainment channel just because they don't want to be held liable for like I guess misinformation. So now everything's everything's editorialized because you're like, well, was it 20 million cases or was it 20? Read below. You're like, well, just give me some facts.
Just give me
So it's going to be interesting as we look back in history as to this time period.
Dude, 2020 is going to have the longest chapter in the history books by a long shot.
You know, and
jeez,
you know, it's hard to. There's so much information that's not vetted and quickly distributed throughout the public, which is challenging as well. For better or worse,
take it all with a grain of salt. Start to try to piece some of it together. It's interesting.
It is interesting, for sure. But
anyways,
I think we'll end at week 30 finally, when we hopefully send our kids in as safe as an environment as we can. And I've already told the place that we're sending my kids. Got a whole bunch of hand sanitizer and extra like wipes and stuff for them to use. It's like, what do you need? Like, let's just approach it in the most intelligent way possible. Like, let's clean. But you know, that's all you can do. Though again, I'm really curious on how it's going to play out with like kids need to be exposed to germs so they actually have immunity. So. Are like all these kids in 2 years when they get a common cold going to be like in the hospital because like they can't handle a common cold?
Hope not.
Or is every school going to shut down again because of sniffles? And you're like,
well, that was my other concern. Like, you know, when they said they were going to go back to school 50-50 and all that kind of stuff, I was like, yeah, right. As soon as there's one case that they can confirm that comes from a school, they're going to shut the whole thing down. Everyone will be back at home anyways. They're not going to be like, oh, well, little Johnny had it. Just be careful sending your kids to school. They're like, nah, shut it all down for 2 weeks and then everyone can come back.
And a week later, it's shut down again.
It's going to be back.
And again, is it the flu? Is it COVID? Obviously, we have got tests for both, but you know what I mean? Like, as soon as some kid has a fever.
Flu season right now.
Yes.
So,
obviously, it will be.
It will be, yeah.
So, it is.
Hey, I don't know. I give up.
I don't know, but hey, Russia to the rescue, my friend. They've got the COVID.
Oh yeah, I saw.
They've got the COVID vaccine already. So was it man-made? I don't know. There's so many interesting thoughts going out there.
I really appreciate the memes that have come from all of it and the entertainment and
I mean, or else you'll just be super sad and depressed.
Yeah. It's occupied so much of everyone's brain space to where it's like, myself included, where it's like I've got so many things that I want or need to be doing, but like you get stuff like this, it just like occupies your brain space of trying to think through something or be creative about something or whatever. But you're more concerned about, are we going to do school? Are we not do school? What do I need to do for the kids to be home for learning? Do I need to get another computer? Do I like what's going on? And like, oh, I was supposed to do this other stuff, and I totally didn't get to it.
It's been interesting. I've heard from several people now that people seem less friendly. Like whenever you go to the store, even if you have a mask. I
find that to be different.
Really?
Yeah. Like,
I've heard from a lot of people. I don't get out in public. Like this is as public as I get, which it's go home, make sure everyone's alive, come back to work, handle that business, go home, make sure everyone's alive.
No, I found it to be opposite of that. You know, like if I go to the gas station or something like that and like have to go inside or like we were traveling, so I was like going to use the bathroom and stuff like that. Like everyone, if anyone's using the door or whatever, like everyone will hold it open for the other people. So it's like one person touches the door, not everybody touches the door. Stuff like that. I found that a lot.
Interesting.
And
well, that's good to hear. I mean, that's reassuring.
Yeah.
I've heard from I haven't witnessed it firsthand. Really, just because.
And I try to do the same thing. If I happen to be the one that has to open the door, I'll like kick it open with my foot, and I'll just hold it with my foot and like let these 5 people
through. Like let's do this. I'll go
put on your mask before you. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, I've found stuff like that, and everyone's been like friendly and keeping distance from each other and that kind of stuff. So,
well, I hope that.
I think it seems like at least around here, it seems like everyone's like trying to just do their part and get this over with and get back to normal life because everyone's over it. But anyways, I don't want to make this episode about coronavirus.
Well, we're talking about school because I know obviously a lot of people listening are trying to figure out what should be done, not be done, what's happening with their schools and their kids, and how to, where's the balance? Like, I can only imagine some child psychologists are out there just being like the parents better be on it and talking to the kids to make sure they're not just. I mean, they don't have the brain capacity to process most adults don't have the brain capacity.
I want to know how they're going to do the virtual stuff because last time at the beginning of all this, before summer break, it was like a 30-minute Zoom call like twice a week. Otherwise, it was just like Google Classroom, like you need to do this, you need to do this, you need to do this. But then it was up to myself or Brandy to be like, all right, you need to read these pages or you need to do this math worksheet. Well, math worksheet was like, it's an app. So they were like, log into the math thing, do the math stuff. And then that gets checked off as complete. And then it's like, okay, now you need to log in, do this other activity on this other thing.
I think I read locally, at least locally, like they've got some supposedly much better K-12 virtual learning
and it
software
sounds like
thing,
from what I understand it, like there's going to be teachers in a classroom that have a camera on them, like instructing all of the students at the same time on the thing, instead of being like, here's 9 things that need to be done today, mom and dad, it's on you.
Yeah, they had to pull it out of the you-know-what last time. Not prepared for it at all, but
yeah,
do not envy the parents that have anyone that's like a kindergarten through senior. Like,
yeah, I'm worried more for Kendall than anything. She'll be in 1st grade this year, and she's still like, in the learning to read and learning different sounds of different sets of letters and things like that. It's like, I don't know how to teach that. Like this sounds like.
I'll call myself
Ahmed.
out.
A C.
There was the I bought my kid those like build magnet tile things, which I have a lot of fun with. Have you seen them?
No, but I heard about them recently, and Kendall was playing with some somewhere, and that's all she's been talking about. I think it's the same
awesome.
thing.
They're like you can get them in different, like the ones I have. They're like, I guess the ones that maybe invented it. It's called magnet tiles, the brand name. Imagine like a square or triangles or something that got magnets built into it. So you'd have to like bust it open to have a magnet actually come out, but like you just click, and then build and stack and build stuff.
I think that's what she was playing with.
But anyways, I bought the word's metropolis, right? So I'm like, look, it's the magnetile metropolis. What kind of Spanish word is this? And she's like, you mean metropolis? I'm like, thankfully you're going to teach the kids and not me if we have to have virtual learning next year because reading not going to be so good apparently.
Yeah. Well, and she's an educator. Your wife's like a trained teacher, but for college students, you know what I mean? In Spanish, but like,
well, but I mean, I think a lot of principles of just understanding how to like explain like you can, I think you can extrapolate some principles on like how to better explain something to someone when you're trying to teach them how to do it. Like you could probably teach me how to change tires and oil change,
but you're able to understand certain things versus like, and I was talking to Emily, I called Emily. I was like, hey, what do we do for Alex's birthday? And then we start talking about teaching and all this other homeschool stuff for a few minutes. And I was like, and like, she's like, I wouldn't want to be teaching like elementary school kids. She's like, I'm a teacher, and like, but I wouldn't want to do that. Like, that's hard.
Yeah. That's
what I'm saying. It's like a whole nother level. So I'm like, I'm just concerned for Kendall because it's like those early years of like that education and development that like really build your knowledge and and just like your willingness to learn. Like if school sucks for you those first few years, you go on through life, school sucks. I hate school, it sucks. But if you have a good experience with it, then they're more willing to be in that environment and
it's almost like they just need to like, all right, everything resets. Like you'll go through your senior year twice.
Yeah.
Like let's just repeat 2020 and 2021 for schooling. Everyone that graduates is like a year older, but like,
yeah, I'm concerned. It's going to be interesting. There's going to be a group of, there's going to be a generation of kids that probably aren't as smart as they should be.
Or could be.
Or could be. Right.
Or at least have a different attitude towards schooling.
And I feel like they're going to have to like scale grades. I'm like, well, they should have done better, but the entire grade's going to fail because
well, that means I don't want to get, it's been interesting hearing on, basically firsthand from a lot of teachers, whether it's a university or I guess professors, or teachers on the inability to fail students now due to the criterias that like if they don't have a number of kids pass, that affects obviously the schooling and the funding.
It's a numbers game. They push
kids through and then even on the university side, it's like, well, if we have too many people fail in your department of your major, then you're going to get less funding because apparently you guys aren't doing a very good job of teaching these kids. So you pretty much inflate some numbers to make sure you get more funding for your department.
Here's the thing, though. How does that make any sense? And that kind of goes with the whole police thing. You're going to defund the department that needs help because they're not doing a good job teaching the students. So we're going to take money away. Instead of providing you with more money, more resources to maybe do a better job, we're going to take money away and it'll be even worse, is how I see that. Like, oh, these kids are failing and they're not doing a good job teaching them, so we're going to take your money and resources away. That's going to incentivize them to do a better job?
Yeah, why don't we
audit need some better equipment. Maybe we need this, or maybe we need that. Or
better need more teachers, or
better training.
Get rid of a teacher and bring in some new teachers that maybe are better at their job.
Whatever. But like, same thing with the whole defund the police. I'm not going to get into all of that. I got another guest that'll get into that for us. But I'm really curious to hear what he has to say. He's coming in the next few weeks. But it just doesn't make any sense to me, where it's like, why are we going to I understand the whole sentiment behind it, but you can't expect, like, most officers just need better training. Most departments don't provide enough training. They train once a year. Well, that are simple things.
What I've come to the realization is using both those institutions, right? One with police, maybe police officers are doing more than they're being put in situations that they like. There's a better resource to handle that. A noise complaint for a party, maybe that needs to be a different kind of division than like a police officer who's worried about the person who, like, some murder or something, right? Like they're like, specialized training in for the different situations. Like I could see like kind of diversifying out the roles of what certain police officers are having to do. It's like, hey, do everything. Don't make a lot of money, but do everything.
Right. They're the one that's showing up to the problem.
Yeah, like, so.
And you wanted to defund the departments. A lot of it is like they just want to dismantle them and they don't want police, which is just outrageous.
Yeah. Well, I think that was a very poor marketing job. It's like you find out that there's arsenic in the applesauce and you're like, don't feed kids. You're like, how about we just not give them the poison in the applesauce?
Right.
We can still give them some applesauce. They're like, no. So.
Yeah,
but what I think it's come down to is like I would almost apply the same, at least in my opinion, the schooling and police in this situation is what I think the virus has highlighted. Schools do a lot more than just educate kids. They feed kids. They provide emotional support. That's where you find out if a kid's possibly being abused at home.
Guidance counselors,
as well as educate them. So you start to realize like this institution that was primary focus should be on education is having to do 50 other jobs. Like when that system breaks, it breaks a lot of things. Like it's also a place where we send all of our kids so people can work. I mean, I wouldn't call it like daycare. It's like they legally need to go to school. That's a law. So they, like, if they're not in school, that breaks down the whole workforce kind of program, right? So I mean, I'd say like the police again. You're like, right now we're taxing you with doing 700 things. Maybe you don't need to be doing 700 things. And maybe you need to do 200 things really well.
Yeah, and most departments aren't training for all of those things, and they're just expected. They're just expected to handle every situation perfectly, without training them. And because a lot of departments don't have the resources to do that, nor are they thinking. It's just there needs to be a lot of things put in place, but taking money away from education or police or a lot of other things, like, it just makes no sense to me. It'd be like, oh, you're not doing it right, so we're going to take your money away. Like, what?
Yeah,
I just caught that, by the way. That was pretty good. Like, I've been playing with a bottle cap this whole time, if you're just listening, and I just threw it up in the air like in a pissed off way, and then I caught it because I'm a ninja.
Or you have basic hand-eye coordination.
Well, I didn't even. I just like tossed it up and I just happened.
Or it's called luck.
Let's go play the lottery.
Anyways, in short, it's just like, I feel like we're I think it's highlighting, I think, in a way, a lot of good things. Like, hey, maybe we need to spend a lot more money and resources on schools, and because it provides so many resources for so much, and yet we are not seemingly giving it the proper funding and attention that it needs, and then audit that funding.
Of course.
I mean, if you you
can't just spend the money in the wrong places.
Yeah, like police. So like, I mean, if there's just, you hire bad employees. There's great people at their jobs and there's horrible people at their jobs.
It goes back to the bad apples thing, yeah.
So properly vet them, properly train them, and if they don't fit, whether it's a teacher or a police officer, then
give them the boot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I don't think just kicking everyone to the curb, whether it's teachers or police, is the right answer either.
No, it just everyone goes to these full extremes instead of like trying to think through something logically. Like, people they're just extremists. They're just like, do this needs to happen, and just work through this problem. Anyways.
Well, that's when you actually have dialogue and a little bit of empathy to understand the other person's point of view and try to work.
And a lot of good things happen from that, but no one's willing to have like a reasonable conversation anymore. And it's like so frustrating. Everyone's so
I'm right and you're wrong.
No, I'm right. Everyone's so
I'm right.
Everyone's so heavily opinionated, and a lot of people out on social media and stuff, like, they're not talking to people. Like, they're going on these rants talking at people and just like throwing their opinion on everyone else, and if you don't agree, you're wrong, and all this stuff. And they're just like talking at people instead of talking with people. And that's what drives me nuts.
There are a lot of faults in society. It ain't all going to change at night, and it didn't all happen last year. You know what I mean? These are things that have been ingrained in people since Adam and Eve. So like, we'll got to keep working towards it. But
yep, I'm gonna have to work towards getting lunch. I'm getting hungry.
yeah. We'll get ended on that note.
Cool, awesome, dude. It's good to have you back in.
Yeah.
Now that you're dad of 4 and got some sleep going again.
A little bit. I felt a little like my energy was a little bit lower, so I'll apologize for that.
No,
I didn't have enough
Jocko. Straight to the veins next time.
Next time I'll have my IV drip going.
Guys, thanks for listening. I appreciate it. Make sure you leave all the likes, ratings, reviews, all the things. We would certainly appreciate it. And make sure you're subscribed if you aren't already. And see you in the next episode. Peace.